Recording in progress.
The secret space program is very real. Cloning is very real. And if you're behind the curve, that's okay. You will catch up. There are plenty of videos and broadcasts and reels to watch on my channel. But it's nothing greater than bringing somebody who's actually experienced these elements of the space programs that the militaries globally are and have been running. Welcome back to my channel, Drago Reid. How are you, sir?
I am doing most excellent. I am at 10% awake. That's better than normal because I don't ever sleep, so I'm ready to rock.
Wow, 10%, and you all this energy. We've been chatting for ages before we hit record. So tell us what kind of feedback you got, because there's a lot of interesting elements to what is known as the disclosure movement. Some call it a community, which to me is just a very condensed group of people. But really, we're talking about billions of people who are disclosing their own memories, their own information, but also watching channels like mine, having sessions with people like you. So when we did come together, because we were kept apart, we had gatekeepers that made sure that we didn't connect. Of course, we've now thwarted that and we're on a similar track, which is to bring information to the masses. What kind of feedback did you receive?
Utter shock. When people figured out that you had interviewed me, they felt like a new timeline had been created because, like, that's what I felt like. To go through all the public attacks and how people handle us and people manipulate us from behind the scenes, people are starting to wake up. So much drama happens to you. You start figuring out who your true friends are, who your handlers are, and it gets to a point where you're like, enough is enough. I'm going to start doing what I want to do and stop relying on everybody telling me what to do. So when people started seeing that you interviewed me, it was utter shock for the response because people search stories, and I've never really contributed to that story publicly. I've never mentioned what me and you went through publicly. I always just wanted to, hopefully, you see the better part of me eventually, and my integrity would show long term. So that was always my plan. But all my top friends, all the speakers I know, they were just shocked and they were just enamored and super stoked for me, happy for you. And like, we're finally bridging the separation of the consciousness community because it's the separation that causes us to not wake up.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And again, behind the scenes, you and I both apologized to each other for behaviors that were unseemingly not necessary. But again, there's different information, there's different behaviors, but a lot of people have been kind of budding, growing in their awakening. And so there are things that happen. I guess you go from kind of a teenage environment to hopefully some level of adulthood when you're starting out with absolutely different work that you've never done before, becoming a therapist, getting memories like you were in an accident that triggered your memories as you shared last time on our last broadcast. So anyway, we invited the public to ask questions to you. So, and we haven't scripted this, of course, we don't script. So let me go to the first question here. It's from Kimberly Turner. She says, please can we clarify the reptilian son of Anu, question mark. The younger son was you, aka Enlil, who did not have a people group of his own like the other Anunnaki. Then she says, snake and reptile venoms are in vaccines, as per Brian Ardis. That's a whole separate subject. Not sure if you're aware of that. Naturals safeguard our immune system, so why vaccinate at all? Okay, even our pets and livestock. Okay, so this is the second part of a question. She wants to clarify the reptilian son of Anu. She also is saying here that was Noah, also known as Utnapishtim, from the lineage of Enki or Enlil. What do you know, if anything, about this?
Untapishtim was another name for Noah, and he was a direct son of Enki. So when Enki came to Noah, he appeared in the Bible as somebody else because Enki wasn't a name used in the Bible. It was God telling Noah, build the ark, a flood was coming. And that was under pretense of cyclical changes that was already supposed to happen. It wasn't Enlil Yahweh causing the cleansing of the entire planet. The Anunnaki, when they've been here for hundreds of thousands of years, they went through all these cycles where stuff would get wiped out. And this was one of the reasons they brought the moon to kind of control the tides, because these cycles were a bit extreme when they arrived on the planet. It wasn't so conducive to what the Anunnaki wanted to do, because it was making their life a little bit hell. But the reptilian stuff, the Brian Artist stuff, I am familiar with his work. He's doing award-winning kind of work. And everybody's dying from Ozempic now. All these celebrities, they're like taking Gila monster venom and like they're turning into skeletons. So like it's pretty crazy. But yes, Utnapishtim is one of the names that he went by from the Sumerian tablets.
Okay. So in terms of where I got my Anunnaki information from, because I knew barely anything about them, just things I'd seen on YouTube. And anyway, so it was very concentrated with someone over the last few years. So I totally believed all the stories there. Now, I couldn't give a shit about the Anunnakis. I'm very angry with them, very cross with them. I'm very cross with any Godhead, whoever they think they are, that's going to come and take over my planet, your planet, our planet. I'm not okay with it. They are gatekeeping. They are encouraging, let's say, levels of transhumanism. That's the Ozempic scare there. It's all part of it. You know, the jabs, the Ozempic, whatever they can get into the body to change humanity, to terraform us, to re-terraform our planet, to dim the sun. It's all one dark picture. And if these people are so great and they've got skills and talents that they can actually intervene, well, I haven't seen many of them. And yes, the humans have to rise up. So I believe that's what I'm doing. I'm standing, I'm speaking out, I'm rising up. And I'm not buying any of the stories from before and how the earth, because the victors of the past, those that won, you know, they rewrite history so that Anunnaki can make up all kinds of stories. Also, I went to see them, the ancient original cuneiform tablets in the British Museum, and it was extremely moving, and it was so incredible. But now I'm like, well, they could have just made them up. They could have just added that story of Noah, and it just could have been, well, Enki said he was the one that brought the floods and tried to warn everyone, or Enlil. I don't care. I'm so beyond the bollocks of people trying to enforce their stories into the field and not looking at the fact that humanity is rising up. We're coming together. This is a war of the frequencies, a war of love, a war. And the goal of the Dark Ones is for our souls. Get our souls, transhumanize us, just change us in any way they can. So you remembering your memories is so important, because you're sharing other layers and levels of what this planet is, what's happened to it, who the enslavers are, right?
Yeah, the Anunnaki are definitely not good. Anybody having this kind of position where the Anunnaki are here to save us, that is, they could have saved us the entire time. All they've done was enslave us since they got here. We've been genetic experiments. We've been turned into hybrids. We've been turned into genetically modified organisms. Have you noticed that all of us that was born around the 80s, I was born in 1980 because I'm 46. I started noticing that they're modifying humans decade by decade, where all modern humans are starting to look younger, more youthful. They're making the hormones start at like age 8. So women in their 40s look like they're in their 20s. And women in the 80s, when they were in their 40s, they look like they were in their 80s. So you can see we're almost becoming Homo sapiens, another new version of what we became 200,000 years ago, because the transhumanism, the weaponization of the DNA, they're doing way more than they've ever done now.
I mean, there is the fact, because I'm a woman, right? So, and I'm in my 50s, and so I have a little bit of filler here and there, a little bit of Botox, you know what I mean? Because I don't believe in that age gracefully bollocks. I don't, you know. And yeah, you're right. There's a whole element of humanity that does look younger, but I think we also take care of ourselves in a different way, and we don't listen. We don't no, cut our hair short, at 40 years old and all that kind of thing, and I think women in particular have kind of restructured their own thinking. They've kind of come up through the ranks of a repression that was there for a long time, 60s and 70s, started being really released in the 80s. And I think that we naturally, women are kind of younger in themselves. I don't think it's all like the, what you were saying there, but because like I said, I think I look younger for my age. Or maybe I do naturally, I don't know, but I'm just admitting that I have a little bit of help. Little jab here, little jab here.
Technology's good. Technology is always good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just a little. But anyway, so I digress. Right, let me find another question for us.
Another segue into the Anunnaki is the reason why there's so much contrasting information is because people are relying on Zachariah Sitchin's interpretations.
Yes.
And they're not studying the cuneiform tablets. I started studying the Anunnaki over 20 years ago. For some reason, I started to become obsessed with them maybe around the age 25, 23. So this is around 2003, 2005. And it was almost like I reawakened to their information. So I was studying real Assyriologists like George Smith, Stephanie Dalley. Zachariah Sitchin's got his interpretations from George Smith and Stephanie Dalley because they were the first ones to really break the codes of the language. And it wasn't up until about them that actually broke the coding. And then you have Zachariah Sitchin, and who was funding Zachariah behind the scenes, kind of threw a spin and narrative where they made it sound like Enki was a good guy. Some of it made it sound like Enlil was a good guy, but it was basically to cover the tracks, to change the narrative. But a lot of what Zachariah said was true, and it did line up with the cuneiform tablets, but there was a lot of stuff that wasn't in the cuneiform tablets.
There are people that say Zachariah Sitchin was a known agitator. He would say some truths, then mess it up and play around. There are also some that say he was friends with Aleister Crowley. That's how you pronounce his name. Some know it as Aleister Crowley, and all that kind of darkness and spelling and, high magician and high magic with a K work that was going on. Have you heard that?
Yeah. Yeah, there was definitely an occult connection to that, and he was connected to some dark people.
Indeed. Right, let's move on to another question. Somebody sharing here. This girl's saying her name is DeLong. Hi, DeLong. Pretty sure I have some past life as a priestess in Atlantis because since I was a young girl, always had an affinity to crystals. Just saying that she became a crystal healer. That's really lovely. And she helps animals too. Well done. That's beautiful. And she uses Reiki, tarot, and other energy-based healing tools. Excellent. She was raised as a Muslim child. Okay. She says here, Enlil's mother, not Enki, was draconian. And yes, I've heard that also before. That Enlil's mum, the brother of Enki or Ea, was draconian. Have you heard that? You all right? I can't see you. I'm looking at the...
Oh, I'm sorry. There's different interpretations between different factions. So you're going to have the Enlilites and the Enkites. We talked about that in the first interview. Depending on which group you're in, you're going to have different versions of who came from what. Now, it gets really complicated with who's saying who was draconian, but according to the tablets, according to the personifications, Enki was the reptile. They never personified Yahweh or Enlil as the reptile. He was never personified as the reptile, from what I know. So all my study shows that Enki was half draconian because he was the eldest brother and he had the divine right to rule. But the problem was he was just really a geneticist. He wasn't a warrior like his younger brother Enlil, which was his half brother. But unless we do some Akashic record reading and we get past governments blocking us connecting to stuff, like they'll use oracles to infect hypnosis sessions, remote viewing sessions, dowsing sessions, tarot sessions. So you have to realize there's a worldwide cover up to all this. So According to what I know with personification, it looks more like Enki had the draconian mother.
Interesting. And again, I have no interest in bashing anyone else out there. I am way
Me
past
neither.
that. What we're doing is putting information into the field to invite people to think, because that is our role and our duty as humans right now. I had no idea what you were going to say about those guys. I'm just tired of it. It's Cain and Abel. It's Ear and Enki and then Lil. It's why is it always these kind of patriarchal, masculine deities, gods, subhumans, full humans, whatever? Why are we always kind of being told to acknowledge something of that vein?
I think that ties into this dualistic universe of control. When you start eliminating the feminine, it allows you to control the masses. Because when you have a balance of masculine and feminine, more than likely the goddesses would be ruling. When the Anunnaki arrived, they kind of removed that and it became a war of kingship. And we talked about the first interview how on Nibiru, they were fighting with each other and they caused so much nuclear war that they became sterile. So that kind of bled upon the other planets. And we have the Sumerian king list, which shows all the kings of the Anunnaki that rolled all the way up to Egypt. And it never mentioned the females. So since the beginning of the Sumerian king list, it was all kingship, the divine right of kings. So the English kings, all the kings that we have on earth, they all derive from the authority of the Anunnaki. Because that whole king title came from the Anunnaki.
Yeah. You know, we're told that before the Anunnaki, there was the Hyperboreans. I'm not sure if you're aware or have, because we haven't planned anything. We're just having a free flowing conversation, you and I. Do you want to share anything of your knowledge of the Hyperboreans?
Yeah, so these are previous epics of civilization, like Tataria. These were extremely advanced civilizations that weren't just operating in a pocket dimension on Earth. They were literally on Earth in other timelines. And some of these timelines, there were humans here before the Anunnaki that were advanced because the mantids were actually controlling a lot of the genetic experiments. And then we had the war of kingship, the Draconians merging with the Anunnaki, and they kind of usurped that control of the mantids and started taking over all these planets and installing death traps. So imagine like the idea of reincarnation isn't something that really exists with Source because we choose what lives we live. We don't, Source does not judge you for something you got wrong, and then Source is going to say upon death when you see the white light, you got to do this again. That's part of an entrapment system. So what they're doing is, in order to control us, they have to remove the Hyperborean timeline. They have to remove all these advanced timelines in order to control us, because if they're saying the pyramids are only 6,000 years old and civilization started 6,000 years ago, to acknowledge these previous civilizations would cause us to rise up against our governments and take our power back, including against the lowercase g gods. Because we would see they're just aliens. They bleed. We can kill them. They have blood. The Anunnaki have blue blood because they have chlorophyll-based blood, not copper-based blood. That's why they call them the blue bloods. When you have copper-based blood, you live way longer because it's chlorophyll-based.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I just going to get to another question for you. A lot of praise, a lot of very positive. Dani, thank you for sharing this beautiful soul Drago with us. Your guests are always top draw. Much appreciated. That's from Ree. We've got, thanks for the interview. I felt my energy field got off of purification by listening. I work with shamanism. I get a lot of my info from animal spirits. Can you tell me something? This is to you, Drago, for meditation for Sphinx. That's an interesting meditations for Sphinx. Yeah, tell them something about where the animals and animal spirits came from.
Okay, so when the mantids started genetic experiments on this planet, before humans, we had flora and fauna. So a lot of these beings came from other systems, kind of like the dolphins and the whales are from Sirius. They're from Sirius A and Sirius B. They bring a certain stabilizing force to the planet that helps stabilize the grids. And this is why we've had this war on the dolphins and whales. I think we talked about that in the first interview about how they're trying to remove endangered species. And that's the purpose, because those exact species, they anchor codes into the earth. And when those codes are gone, it causes disharmony, disease, all kinds of stuff starts happening to the environment, everything to humans. It removes that frequency of love. But a lot of these different animals are they're the next level down from the humanoid version. So if we have flamingos, for example, flamingo the bird would have started on another planet as a physical being. So what we do as beings, we create as below. So we will make something in our likeness. So the draconians are one step down from Seokar dragons. So the dragons created the draconians. That was their version of a bipedal 5-star orientation humanoid being. But the problem is the AI hijacked the draconians from their universe and then sent them to the Lyran universe. So the beings that were on Lyra, the flora and fauna, those were from other universes. Because this universe where Lyra started in the beginning, before there was physical life on any other planets in the system, I existed in other universes. So this is a younger universe. The universe I am before this, I was in Andromeda. I was Andromenid. I lived on a water world. And then when this universe was created with Lyra, I made an agreement to be here at the beginning of Lyra. Just like I said in the first, where the Draconians invaded, Yemi Janae of the Farsight Institute was the queen of Lyra. I was literally on the royal court, I was like the king, I was like the hand of the king and queen. So I had already attained my density levels through other universes. But going back to the animals, that's part of the 22 genetic experiments. We're bringing different flora and fauna to this planet in order to terraform it, to make species so diverse for evolution. Because when you have all these different birds, all these different mammals, you can start hybridizing, creating other versions, as above, so below. So it's a pretty amazing thing with the animals.
It really is. A couple of things there that piqued a memory in me that I want to share, because of course we all have our own unique experiences, and it's our duty, everyone's duty, I think, just to share into the field. So years and years ago, so lucid dreaming, so being awake inside a dream, knowing that you're dreaming. What I do is I always pinch myself hard. If it hurts, obviously I'm awake. If it doesn't hurt, obviously I'm in a lucid dream, but I'm awake inside the dream. So in this dream, I'm in the ocean, it's dark, and I don't look down. I can't see below my waist. There's another woman. There's a couple of guys. We're bobbing up in the water. We're looking up, and there are 3 massive craft in the sky. And one by one, a shaft opens up and a blue whale drops in. Next one, blue whale drops in. Third one, blue whale drops in. In this vision that I'm awake in, I say to myself, oh my God, that's how the whales got here. Now, cut to, we've been told, we know the beauty and the brilliance and the necessity of the blue whales and other whale species, their song, the way they work with the ley lines, the electromagnetic pulses on the planet. It is all a beautiful, beautiful synchronistic design. People say that the ley lines have been, messed up because the Navy are blowing up bombs underground, which they are in the ocean. All kinds of horrors have happened. That's why they say many of these beautiful beings will beach themselves. Anyway, so the blue whale is extremely important. They also, along with that, like the beginning terraforming of our planet, I was taught once about, they call them the red giants, the giant trees. One of the oldest, tallest trees on our planet is called El Capitan. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I used to have a photo of it everywhere I went, but I used to always have a photograph of Silbury Hill as well, because those two things somehow I needed to be near me, or, you can't explain everything you do. And so the megalithic trees, one being the Dragon's Tower also, that was used, I think it was used in the first kind,
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
That's it, yes. When that movie first came out, it was incredible to note that he was the man, Richard Dreyfuss was manically building this kind of tower. But it's really a tree. We know it's a tree. We're not stupid. We know a lot of the cliffs, and there's so many things, and, there's so much quarried. Like, I look at Sedona, it's a quarried place. It probably had beautiful palaces and temples at one point. It always reminds me of the energy of Greece or Athens. I've been there. There's so much hidden from us, isn't there?
So they showed those trees in the movie Avatar. Back before the Anunnaki came, when the Draconians were here, a lot of the dinosaurs were brought here for their food source. So all the flora and fauna were mega. So after the dinosaurs were removed, because that was part of a war, we kind of wiped out the dinosaurs. It wasn't just from an asteroid; it was actually part of a war, because this was used as a stronghold for the Draconians to. They use this as a staging ground for their food source to further wars. Those trees, they were strongholds for some of these gods. Like Olympus, for example. They would have said Olympus was on a mountain. A lot of these Olympuses were on the tops of these trees as well. So they've done LiDAR scans, synthetic aperture radar, and they've shown that these ancient, they call them mountains, they're ancient trees. They have root systems that go underground. So in order to control the narrative history, they had to remove all the ancient trees, because that changes the narrative with what they were selling. Because when you have trees that big, you're going to have other fauna that's big. So they got rid of all of it. They wiped it all out. Because if you trace the root to where this flora came from, I mixed it up. Flora is the plant. You're going to see that it came from other planets. Like the Anunnaki brought wheat. Wheat wasn't something that was on this planet, and they even talked about it in the cuneiform tablets, that they literally brought wheat to Earth in order to help themselves to give it to the humans. But yeah, I'm sensitive with those trees, and I'm angry because I'm really connected to life. And I just saw a video today, about an hour ago, about some African guy cut down a 1,500-year-old tree in Africa. It's a specific type of tree. It's really revered. And it's probably 20 feet wide. That's massive. And it's tall. And you just watch him cut it down. And I just felt like my heart broke. I'm like, we do not own those trees. We do not have the right to cut down all this life, man, because the trees are here to stabilize the frequency.
Yeah.
They want to remove the trees. That removes the frequency. They want to remove the dolphins and the whales. That removes the frequency. So that gives the frequency of control. They're basically terraforming this entire planet for themselves.
Yes, exactly. And they're still doing it. To my point, again, over the years, saying things like, oh, the greys are gone. Well, I think there's a level of truth to that now. I do. But the bloody reptilians haven't gone, and they're hybridized with a lot of the leaders. They're also the hidden hand. I'm very much in believing that there's a massive reptilian stronghold on this planet. Another reason, and Bill Gates is one, and just look at the oink. Look at their energy. I mean, there are so many people you can look at that are putting themselves as self-appointed, self-anointed leaders, and globally have a position where telling us what to do. They're sterilizing African people and Indian people, and that's what Gates was doing. They're creating mosquitoes. Oh, it's going to help kill all the bad mosquitoes because malaria is the biggest killer in the world. And what he's doing is creating little drone mosquitoes that can inject everyone. And lettuce, here's another one. What is that doinky doing, messing with lettuce, investing in lettuce? Lettuce is one of the hardest things for the body to break down. Think of the level of sheer awfulness and darkness that a human would try again to mess with lettuce because it can hold elements and ingredients that were put in certain jabs, knowing that the lettuce is going to stay in the body longer and it can be quite corrosive. And that evil man knows that. And so many other things. He's invested in beer. He's taken over land. He's stolen original seeds. You know, imagine food and apples, and we eat a piece of fruit. It's got pesticides on it. I mean, I know that he was pesticiding everything and covering it in a skin that I heard in America they banned. But
uphill.
Right. The level of evil that someone is, and they don't hide it, that they would watch you eat an apple knowing that you couldn't plant the seeds to grow your own food. They're refusing you to grow your own food. Of course, we know that. They're creating what I call as manufactured starvation. You know, it's so sad. It's so evil. But I really do get your point about the trees. It's just absolutely devastating. It all is. And it sounds like doom and gloom. We are winning, absolutely. But we still got to put the information out so other people wake up. Right, let's
yeah, so the Bill Gates stuff, it goes back to Bill Gates Sr. He was one of the most famous eugenicists that ever existed. And he was partnered with Margaret Sanger, one of the biggest eugenicists that started Planned Parenthood.
Yes.
That's one of their mechanisms for depopulation. They give free abortions, free women health care in order to kill as many people as possible. So they make it free. So yeah, they will kill your baby for free. And it's part of that kind of whole entire thing. So Hillary Clinton's top, one of the ladies she looked up to the most is Margaret Sanger. So look how that kind of goes into all these elites. It's all depopulation. It's all eugenics. It's all the Georgia Guidestones. It's pretty dark, man. Like, he has arrest warrants in I don't know how many countries, but America is the problem. America's covering up all these crimes. I always like to say that in the end, if America falls, the entire planet falls, because the planet sees us as one of the biggest military forces that ever existed. So if we're going to allow these criminals to poison us, even the elite families, no matter where they go to buy stuff, unless it's kosher, the food's deadly. So if you want healthy food, look for kosher labels. It has no transhumanism in it. It has no nanites in it. It has no chemicals in it. So just think about that. Go down that rabbit hole.
Well, we hope. I mean, we hope that that's true. But, you know, the Jews are hated so much and have been for so many years and blamed for bloody everything. And then everyone goes, oh, you Jew sympathizer, you. It's pathetic. People spew and espouse information into the field that they heard, that they're programmed, that they're just repeating like parrots, you know, on the program. And I really need people to recognize what is their response to something. You know, what is their response to stimuli out there in the field? Is it a program response? Is it their free thought? Is it their actual belief? Is it part of their belief system, or was it downloaded into them? You know, so everyone should watch how they respond to something. Let's get to another question for you. This lady, Nicole Louise, says, wow, Drago weaves it all together. Why, if we weren't the first on this planet, can we stay? But the bad ones who came here first have to go. Where do they go? Can they be eliminated throughout the universe? They'll just cause evil everywhere they are. That makes sense, Drago?
Well, the problem is this is the duality universe. So evil's allowed to exist in order for evolution. The problem is they kill all the good guys. So everybody's always like, where's all the white hats? Where's all the good guys doing all the good stuff, killing all these bad guys? The problem is good guys don't want to murder and kill. So they kill us. So it's into a point where let's give about a worldwide message. I challenge the people of the world, the ones that are good, If you do not step up past whatever agreements you made for money, your family's dead. Everybody will die. Everybody will be a slave. Every agreement they made to you where they said they would spare you from the slavery and stuff, you're not a pureblood. You're not Anunnaki. They're lying to even the elites. So we have to rise up and take our power back, period. If we do not rise up, no one's going to save us. And this is the thing that pisses me off the most. They say the prime directive is the Galactic Federation can't intervene to come save us because of that premise.
Yeah.
But the problem is it doesn't apply because we were hijacked by an extraterrestrial race that installed themselves as gods. So that violates the rules of the prime directive. And this is why I fight so much in the SSP, because me and the group I'm in the SSP, we're fighting these dark efforts because it's out of control. And I don't know how many times I've died in clone bodies fighting these dark. I just want to cuss at them because they have no lines they won't cross. Mm-hmm. And it's a battle to not become them while taking them out, because that's how dark they are. But we have to rise up and take our power back, because again, the ETs are not going to come here and save us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. And again, we've been programmed just either for a Jesus or Allah, or someone is going to just stop by and go, don't worry, lovelies, I've got you. Well, the fact is, each soul that took the journey here, we have a responsibility to make sure that we stand strong and we unify together and we take our own planet back, and we better not be bloody waiting for something in the sky. For me, the prime directive, see, I didn't grow up with Star Trek. I mean, I saw it a few times, Star Trek and Star Wars, so I don't have that programming in me. And that's a good thing, because when I heard about the prime directive, it was from somebody else, some galactic person online. And I think, what a load of shit. Oh, that's convenient. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't intervene. We have to watch all the children being raped and caged. And then people always bring a spiritual, useful, handy, wow, we came to learn lessons. I'm sorry, fuck off. Exactly. It's not okay. It's bollocks. It's cruelty. It's a reason. Oh, let's reason it. Oh, Drago, you must have been very bad in your past life, and now you must suffer in this one. Nonsense. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. And it's so crazy because we spend decades reading, learning, going to conferences, meeting people, listening to broadcasts, and all this information goes in, and then it settles down, and then we find ourselves parroting it. People like you and me who can retain a lot of information, and that becomes something we repeat back into the field. But what if it's wrong? And I've put stuff out there that now I'm bloody erasing and I'm deleting, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't realize. But again, that's part of the growth of the individual human, which we must always come back to, the individual growth of whatever we call ourselves. And again, the prime directive to me is an absolute bloody nonsense.
You mentioned growth, and I realized one day when I got into QHHT that the entire premise of QHHT teaches that when you die, you have your family appear, you have your masters and your guides and your animals and all that stuff. And it took me a long time to realize that Dolores never knew that this was part of an AI entrapment system. Mm-hmm. That we call in the SSP, it's called return through death mechanics. Just like a clone, we specialize in return through death mechanics. So this planet is not natural. When you die, you do not see your guides. You go back to your source planet or the source. You don't get punished. You don't have to be put in a life where you got to get it right. Source will not do that. So it took me a long time to realize, holy crap, all these planets were taken over and reincarnation is not natural. That's why it's in all these religious books, the Mahabharata, the Vedas and stuff, and they would talk about this whole reincarnation thing and escaping samsara. Samsara is the death trap, a frequency theft created by the Draconians.
Yeah, so interesting. There used to be a perfume years ago called Samsara. I used to wear it. Interesting
Interesting.
again, where you see the names, the brands, the things where they'll put in the demonic like Baal. It'll be on their bussy, whatever it's called. I don't even want to say the word. So many different things. Right, let's get to another question. I don't think we're going to get through these, mate. Honestly, there's
No
so
worries.
many of them. It's funny. See what you can do with this question. This is from MHHR. Question: how does one heal a splintered heart?
A splintered heart was caused through trauma. The problem is it could have originated in another lifetime and it carries on into this lifetime. And this is why you can't trust people, why you can't love. Everything we've ever learned with quantum healing, remote viewing, you have to forgive those who hurt you. If you're in a lifetime, people made agreements to do the things to you they would do to you. Those are agreements. So if you understand it was agreement to break your heart and to hurt you in a way that would affect you for the rest of your life, you have to realize it wasn't personal. It was because you're not evolving as a soul. Forgiveness is one of the tenets you have to learn before you go to 5D. Because in 5D, your thoughts manifest instantaneously, just like the astral realm. We were talking about the astral earlier. When you go lucid, it's just like upon death. The moment you leave the body, the universe is thought responsive. So if you fear before you die, before you go back home, if you want to see the one you love the most, your mom, your dad, your wife, your husband, you think you want to see them, you instantaneously go there. I forgot my point. What was the question you asked?
Listen, we're both ADD, mate. I don't remember. I don't
By
remember.
TBI, I'll start
Oh,
giving an
splintered.
explanation. Okay, yes.
Splintered
So
soul. Splintered
you
soul.
you have to identify who hurt you and when. The best thing to do is do a QHHT session, and the practitioner will take you to the most relevant time and place. Most people that need to heal relationship dynamics, they're shown their current life in the past where they were hurt, where they were broken, the core moment. So in order to go to the next level and to escape the Groundhog Day, the cycles, the repeating Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you have to forgive yourself and forgive the other person who hurt you. You do not have to forgive them to their face. You can forgive them to the universe. What did I learn when they hurt me? They taught me how to identify a narcissist, a sociopath. They taught me to identify traits in toxic people. And if those traits start coming in with the next relationship, if those traits start coming instantaneously and you still accept that relationship, you get stuck in the cycle of the Groundhog Day. So you're going to experience infinity Groundhog Days until you forgive that person.
Interesting take, and again, we're all welcome to our individual explanations of things. Me personally, with forgiveness, I know it's more for me or for others, like you, I'm a therapist. What I share with people is they can't bring themselves to forgive their rapist that maybe gave them herpes, or and then they couldn't have kids because it wasn't picked up and it affect, try telling someone you have to forgive the rapist. No, but there's other things to do in terms of to make it easier on the victim to allow themselves to forgive the trauma that they've been holding, the shame that they've gone through that's not theirs. So forgiving themselves and removing that layer of pain. There's so many different ways. And like the other day, for example, I had a situation where I'm on the phone with a long-term friend who has cancer for the third time. And me and his wife have never got on. There's always been an issue, unfortunately. And I don't even mention her to him because he's my friend and I'm like, whatever. And then I felt compassion for the first time for her, knowing that she's now nursing her husband again. And so at that moment, compassion came in. And I said, give my love to your wife. That's the first time. And that's also forgiving things that have happened before. So it's interesting where the different layers and levels can come in to help us release an energetic hook because we're emotionally hooked into people. If we carry the I don't like you and this and that. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a really complex, big subject. Have you heard of a man called Alabar Jones?
It's funny, you mentioned Alabar Jones in some of your other transmissions, and weird enough, I was going to mention Alabar since I heard you mention him in one of your interviews. After I did the James Rink conference, where they retaliated against me the next day and they beat the shit out of me, and I was coughing up blood for hours, and everybody saw it. Everybody was
What?
freaking out when they. This is the first time I'm talking about it publicly. The people that saw it, they were crying. It was shocked.
Do you
They
mean you got...
dislocated my left knee. They beat the crap out of me.
Oh
I was
my
spitting.
God.
I have photos. I was spitting up blood for hours, and it took me. I don't think I came downstairs on Saturday till about 4 p.m. during the conference because my whole body's shaking. I'm sweating, and then when people saw me, they were breaking down crying, and like
So,
I was shaking the whole day, and like people was like, "What's going on over here? I keep seeing someone suffering," and I'm like freaking out. Who is this? And it was everybody was seeing it. It was more than palpable. Like I'm getting goosebumps right now, like quite literally.
God.
And what they did to me, it
So
was crazy. What was the question you asked me?
I
Oh yeah,
don't
Alabar.
know, guess hang
Alabar messaged me right after he saw that presentation, and he said he has to warn me that I am now at the top of the TIRAP program for targeting. So because of what I said, in all the different classified programs I named, I'm now at the top of your target list, which is the Target Individual Research Advanced Project Program, TIRAP. So he actually messaged me to tell me that, and I never responded. But like, it's like, I don't know how many people, other assets, when they saw that presentation I did, they literally say they fear for my life now because no one has ever talked about so much detail and so many classified programs ever. Like I named classified programs that are not even public. You can't even Google them. And when they found out, they're like, they're going to fucking kill you. I'm like, it is what it is, man. Like I'm going to be more powerful upon death than I ever was alive because it's like David Wilcock. David Wilcock will follow his work more seriously now that he's dead. The people that never knew who he was, they're going to find out who David Wilcock was because he was important with what he brought. His work on wisdom teachings and bridging spirituality with science and consciousness. There's not many pioneers that really exist on this planet that truly did the work that that man did. But like, if I die, it is what it is, man. I don't fear death.
and that's a good thing. I don't. Nobody should fear death because we go on to the next adventure. But pulling back here a bit, obviously, what you're saying there is very discombobulating and disarming to a lot of people, and that's all right too. These are your beliefs. These are your core beliefs that you are entitled to. This is how you live. This is how you think. Alabar, somebody made a question about him. Alabar came on my channel. So many people said you got to interview Alabar Jones. He's an Australian. He's a big man, and he takes demon energy off the earth plane because it's top down. All the Anunnaki, all that restriction has been from the top down, crushing and repressing. Like where he knows, stand together, unify, and move off the information. So, are you saying that he reached out to you at James Rink's last conference last year?
After it.
Yeah, after it, yeah.
This is what I was dealing with.
Oh no! Oh God!
This is a live video.
Okay, listen. Let's just focus on one thing here.
Yeah, so it's pretty dark.
So are you saying that you got beaten up, physically beaten up by real people?
So they pulled my consciousness into a clone, beat the crap out of it. Because whatever I said, I don't know what I said during that presentation, apparently it crossed the line. When I came back to my body, I had lacerations on my body. My left knee was dislocated. I'm spitting up blood. I'm sweating and I'm in excruciating pain. I couldn't even walk a mile an hour. I was limping up, not even a mile an hour. I could not walk. It was intense.
And you okay, so this was okay, people that have never seen you before or don't know what you're talking about, I wonder if we can bring this down to a basic level of, or a synopsis, if possible. Can you do that?
Which part? You mean what resulted in retaliation?
Well, you're in a secret space program. You realize this by gaining memories back after a violent accident. You've been speaking about programs, the Kruger programs that you know that you were in. You were at James Rink, who sadly has passed away, his Super Soldier conference, which was last year, 2025. October 2025 in Florida. And you're saying that during that event, you did a presentation, you named things you hadn't spoken about before, and then you suddenly have all this physical damage, knowing that your consciousness has been pulled into a clone, because that's what the SSP do. They use clone bodies, and you were physically aware. Because it sounded like at first you were physically beaten up, like by somebody at the conference, but you're not saying that, are you?
No, so when you beat up a clone, there's something called an ab reaction. Have you ever heard of an ab reaction?
No.
So if they want, they can abduct a version of me in a clone, beat the crap out of that clone. The physical pain and trauma manifests in the physical core body here and now. That's why we wake up with lacerations, bleeding. There's this phenomenon I talk about online or I talk about on interviews where I constantly wake up and there's blood on my sheets. And I started posting videos and images of this. We started doing remote viewing on it to see what's causing it. And it instigated and it started becoming crosses. So my blood would actually stain in crosses, and it doesn't make sense because it's all unidirectional all over my sheets. So all the crosses are all facing the same directions in the blood drops. And the remote viewing we did, it shows that they're overlaying my physical body with a grid, like a net. And at each intersection point of this net, it's causing this blood because they're implanting me. I don't know the technical part of what they're actually doing. That's the most confusing part, but that's what the remote viewing is showing. I don't know if it's to control me, because you mentioned that I woke up during my motorcycle crash. Yeah, I got a lot of memories then, but I was already waking up. I've had memories since childhood. I've known about the rape and the mind fracturing and the trauma since I was a kid. A ton of the space stuff started bleeding in right before my motorcycle crash. And it was Monarch that caused me to die during that motorcycle crash. It's called a containment reset. And a person that survives multiple containment resets is known as a revenant class. Revenant class is someone that's hard to kill. Means that goes back to my architect / guardian class soul that exists outside of the physical hologram. All of our souls, we have an origin and an accumulation of what we become, right? So like some souls, we've already went through all the different dimensions. We've already graduated school. And at that point, we were offered to become a creator. The creator side of me is a dragon. My highest self is quite literally a dragon. It's non-corporeal. It's non-physical, and if you was to view my higher self, if you want to remote view it now, I'll allow anybody to actually view it right now. My highest self as a dragon is non-physical, and it looks like an Aurora Borealis galaxy, and it's massive. And then when I project myself down, it's a physical dragon. And then from a physical dragon, I project myself down back into the third dimension here and now. To play this game, to bring all this information back to wake people up.
Right. Are you green?
I am black.
Interesting.
I'm known as a void dragon.
A what?
I exist in the void before matter is created.
Okay.
So I help create what would become the physical matter, the physical holograms, the matrices.
So, one of the things I really love about my channel and the guests that I bring on is that I am open to everything because I believe that we are literal code in the matrix. We're all code in the matrix. We're all going to get our information that's going to help us resonate, going to help us gather, going to help us come back here to central point, central source. And there are some people out there that will absolutely get your intel. They will get it. They will resonate with it. There are others that will think you're a total wackadoodle like they do me, and I couldn't care less because I know they're not evolved enough to have an open mind, and that's not my issue, and we just move along and we just keep on sharing. But it is important to also, for the people that know themselves to have been or are in some kind of program, secret space program, black operations, Beverly Rhodes calls it a 20 in return. There's some people call it a 20 in back. There's lots of different terms for it. We don't want people to go into trauma and worry and start overthinking and start thinking, oh my God, there's blood on my sheets. And I wake up sometimes feeling beaten up. So you got to calm your mind because you can spin out. And you don't want to spin out. You want to come back into the body, ground into the body. Someone like Drago explaining what he does, what he is recovered from, his awareness, his information he puts into the field, is trained in the art of the quantum hypnosis healing, the Dolores Cannons you were mentioning earlier. So you're in a position where you feel you're healed enough that you can actually help and hold space for others who have been in this secret space program environment. So just to say that and put that back. Right, let me read the bit on Alabar. Alabar Jones. Alabar Jones and the Earth Guard. So this is him. Alabar Jones has a company called the Earth Guard, and these are the men and women that are going into the dark and removing a demonic layer. He removed the demiurge, Yahweh, Satan, aka the God Council, the demon kind from the universe, and source core. Great. Again, some people are going to think that's wackadoodle, but it is what it is. And I like him a lot. I think he's doing some good stuff. So this is Lady Debbie Daly. Debbie, we know, okay, let me just answer this. Could you please get this message out to the public? It's very important. The US Navy patented the TR-3B, which is the triangular craft, spacecraft in April 28th, 96. Look for craft using an inertial with mass reduction. Proof solid of free energy. There's no need for hearings. It says it all. It's rock solid, 1000% proof, Pentagon, blah, blah. I've been lying. My love, we know the Pentagon and the governments around the world are liars. We know they're all handled. We know they're all owned. And at my every conference, and the last 2 or 3, we've seen the TR-3B and a very advanced TR-9. So the media killed that information because there are certain people that want to be the ones that bring it out. It's already out there, Debbie, darling. Don't worry. Right.
Yeah, going to the TR-3B real quick. Interesting knowledge. Yes, it was patented in 2006 by John St. Clair. It was not created by the Navy, and it's existed since at least the late 1960s. And the patent for it is US 200-601-450-19A1. That's how you could find that direct craft. And you're right. The first time I saw it huge outside the programs was actually at your first conference. And they had the nerve to park a TR-3B directly above the Ferris wheel near the venue at nighttime. It was floating, going like 1 or 2 miles an hour in a circle above the Ferris wheel. I was shocked. I'm at a stoplight. My friend is sitting in the car with me. You know, in the movies when aliens invade and people are sticking out their head out the window like they're looking at something in the sky?
Yeah.
I remember there's a car next to me. My head's like, I am transfixed. Look, I'm shocked that they are literally showing a TR-3B. And everybody is staring at me, and they're not looking at what I'm looking at. I'm like, there is literally a TR-3B right there.
Wow.
And it was so close, man. It was shocking how big the TR-3B was and how much it was. Everyone was seeing it. So it was your conference.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. That's the first time I saw it. Not outside the programs, the first time I saw it, massive decloaked in a city, and I shit you not, it was no more than 20 feet above the Ferris wheel.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. And thank you. What an honor to learn from you that your first TR3B physical uncloak was at one of my events, one of my JISIC
I tell
events.
people that all the time.
Oh, I love it because, every single event I have, there's always craft and anomalies or something beautiful happening. But it's just so devastating that the media kill it, or there are people there that fight each other. Why? Those people are removed from my events. They are withholding. They are not for disclosure. They're for themselves. How can you be for yourself at such a pivotal time of disclosure on our planet? You know what I mean? It's for everyone. Nobody can lay claim to anything. It's just crazy. At my first event, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I can finish.
I was going to say that at my first event, one of the other amazing things that happened, and Tony Rodriguez, it happened to him as well. I'm jumping in the lift, I'm with someone, and we're going up to our rooms in a break, and it's my first ever event. I didn't even know I could pull it off. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I hired a team. I just knew
Security
I had
team.
to. Huh?
You had a security team too.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
the
yeah.
only conference that hires a security team for all the top speakers. I've never seen that ever in my life.
Yeah. Well, there's been so many threats, of course, and there was
I
a
agree.
couple of one person who was just convinced that they were going to, anyway, that they needed it, otherwise they weren't going to speak, and they have to have bodyguards, and it's just such a nonsense. Kathy O'Brien doesn't need one. David Icke doesn't need one. So we're done. We're done with the drama.
That's
Anyway.
what I would say. I don't need no security.
Yeah, so silly. But so we get on the lift, and a man and a woman jump in, and they're in some kind of uniform. It's not quite military, but it's not quite business suit either. The woman is very tall, so is the man. The man looks German. He's got blonde shaved hair, like typical military buzz cut. And the woman is tall, wearing flat shoes and a long flared skirt and this kind of navy-ish jacket. And she's like, Dani, and shook my head. She goes, oh, we're so excited. And she was just, and then the German-looking guy or the Nordic or whatever, the soldier man, he's glaring at her like to calm down, like calm her energy down. And she kind of stands to attention a bit. And it was so exciting. And then later that night, Tony Rodriguez is outside, the great speaker, the great experiencer, been in the satanic occult, kidnapped by the American military. Such a story. Speaks at every conference I ever do because his work is forever evolving. Anyway, Tony was trying to find a bathroom. He couldn't find a bathroom. He'd had a few beers. He walks into a room and these men come in, like men in black or men in military suits similar, and they were protecting him. And he realized in that moment, oh my God, they've got my back. They know I'm vulnerable in this situation. He'd had a couple of beers. That's why he went to the loo, because he suddenly felt like, oh, I feel a bit buzzed. I shouldn't be buzzed in this environment. I need to, focus. I'm presenting and I'm here to work, and whatever it was that, he told himself. And yeah, he's told that story a few times, that there were so many. That was the first one. And then every single one since. One time, this is very quick. Oh my God. So we went to Universal Studios, and I'm always guided. It is absolute guidance. Every single place I pick, it's because I've been guided there. So I'm not interested in people's stories. I'm not interested in if a Hilton hotel is all satanic or it's all... I was put there, I was guided there, and it was incredible. Now, we go to Universal Studios over the road. Me, JP, Dan Willis, Michael Salla, Brad Olson... I forget who else was there, for dinner, right? And to get a break. And JP goes off, right? JP, the great military insider, the military soldier. He goes off and he comes back round the corner with the smallest man in the world. I've never seen such a little man in my life. And this little tiny man, he's got the smallest leather shoes on and a shirt and a tie, and he's just so diddy. That's a good word for very small in Britain, diddy. Little diddy man he was. But it was so natural. JP just comes around the corner like he does, and this little man ended up, we invited him to have dinner with us. And it was the strangest thing. What kind of person this little man was, because it was like he was planted there. It was extraordinary. And he was telling people that he works with Bill Gates and he works with all these different kind of people. But there were people surrounding and popping in and making themselves aware, or known rather, in my first event, which is supported by on and off planet factions, good factions. I don't name it the Galactic Federation of Worlds, couldn't care less about that name, couldn't care less about Galactic Federation of Light, Galactic Federation of planets. I know there's a Galactic Federation, or there's some kind of good extraterrestrial and Earth military alliance. So that I know for fact. But the names now, I've let them all go. I no longer care. I don't put other people's work into the field. I'm just speaking when I speak like this, it's just from me, my truth. So anyway, yeah, amazing things always happen at Ajusic. Okay, this lady here, Jan Mary, is asking you more on the Archangels, please. Great show.
Hey, one thing I did leave out was, remember how we talked about how Angel Gabriel's main position was disseminating world religions? He also appeared as Marconi to Joseph Smith.
No.
Create his religion.
No. Did he?
Yeah.
Do you want to briefly talk about who Marconi is, for those that don't know?
Marconi started Mormonism.
Oh, okay, I've got the wrong Marconi. I'm thinking you're the guy that said he created
Joseph
radio.
Smith started Mormonism.
Right, Joseph Smith did. Oh, I know Joseph Smith.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Marconi was radio frequency RF, created the first beam to go across the ocean, but he used 17 of Nikola Tesla's patents to do it. So he didn't invent radio, Marconi. Is that the Marconi you're talking about, though?
I'm not really sure of Marconi's story, but all the research we've done and all the remote viewing we've done, he literally came as Marconi.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if it was a walk-in situation. More than likely it was a walk-in situation, just like it was the other times. Because like when Angel Gabriel appeared to Muhammad, Gabriel wasn't in his angel body. He wasn't non-corporeal and of light. So they have the ability to step into anybody they want.
Yes, good point.
Because remember, they have the root codes. They're the original Anunnaki. They're the original house of the house of El, the Elohim, the Archangels. They have the original non-human codes for programming. Mm-hmm. So like, if you imagine that this is all holographic matrix, everybody talks about shape-shifting and they say shape-shifting is not possible. Technically, if it's a holographic matrix, shape-shifting is possible. Because it's ones and zeros, it's digital in nature. It's not what you consider matter-based.
I always say, can we now look and check the codes? Can we be 02020202 at this stage? Because why not? Shape-shifting is absolutely a thing. Absolutely. We've seen many people shift. And also, years ago when I was in Egypt, flying back from Egypt, had these incredible, crazy anomalies happen on the train, on the plane. Too long to go into right now. I've told the story a few times. But this silver alien followed me back, crazy as it sounds. And when I got in the house, back in my house from this trip to Egypt, and I was extremely ill too, because they jab you with something, yellow fever, or this is years ago, like in 2000 and I don't know, 6 or 7, I think. And I took this bloody stuff, and my nose, oh my God, my nose. It was like a cold sore, but I've never ever had cold sores. But it's the nearest thing I can explain to that. This just mountain of pain, and just it was my body responding to the bad ingredients of this yellow fever. So I was extremely unwell. But this is right before I got really sick, and I'm in the house, and the kids next door have come in because they were excited, because I always played with them, and we were in this, I was renting part of a stately home. Anyway, so I'm chasing these kids around my house and saying hello, and all of a sudden I stop and I look, and there's a silver man. His skin was silver, his face was silver, he was wearing the helmet of Upper Egypt or Lower Egypt, I forget which way round they say it now, because it's not the obvious way round, and he's standing like this, just watching me, and I went, because I'm so clairvoyant, I see this stuff all the time, and I went, piss off, like that, and he jumped, because he didn't think I'd see him, and then he disappeared, and these kids are like, what happened? I said, there's a silver man standing right by my table. Anyway, so then I opened the back door, and it was a big acre of land out there, ancient land, and I shouted up Come on then, show us your ship. Now, the plane flight path was way, 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 way over yonder. And the planes, you could see them far away coming over like this. A bloody jumbo jet flew low over my garden. Right? You know a jumbo jet, right? A plane. What the hell? And it wasn't just one, then another one came. And that was shape-shifting. Whatever craft this silver man, E.T. alien, whatever it was, a friend of mine said it was Ashtar from Ashtar Command. I mean, and I don't care, because I think there's something wrong with that Ashtar information as well. And apparently Ashtar is a title. Apparently Ea and Enlil is a title. And again, I don't care. I'm not interested in, because people lie. They're making stuff up. But so I just keep my experiences pure, like obviously you do too. You own it, you share it. But that was a shape-shifting, just to balance out what you were saying, that the shape-shifting is real, and I've seen it with my own eyes. That's just one example.
Yeah, so TR3s or the TR series, like the TR9, all the TR series has the cloaking technology where they can make themselves look like a jumbo plane or a Black Ops helicopter or a Cessna. It's pretty interesting stuff. And going into the draconian shapeshifting, when I was a draconian alpha general, when I was that whole draconian life, we have the ability to project in your mind to make you think we look differently. And another technology we use, we can wear it on our wrist or we wear it on our waist. It is a technology that makes whoever is in that field see something else. So there's a lot of shape-shifting technology as well. It's not just the ability to just change your matter, because if we're only consciousness, that's what shape-shifting is. Your DNA is not actually physical. It's like a code, right? So if you can realize nothing is physical, you can change the coding temporarily to project something else. So it's pretty awesome realms, man. So a lot of these ETs, when they come in, they can make you see something else.
Yeah.
Because they're changing their frequency like a radio station. They're showing you Kiss FM when they're really like satanic FM. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, ghosts do that too. Just a very quick story. Years ago, I checked myself into this. I was coming to England. I was living in America, come to England, so jet lagged. On the way back to Sussex, where all my family were, I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, checked into this ancient, really like 600-year-old massive house. I was the only guest there for the night. And I remember when I went in the bedroom, it had one of those old-fashioned wooden doors with like a latch, you know, like the old-fashioned, I don't know if you know, because it's, you know, you're in America. And I opened the door and I saw a glimpse of these boots, and they were like old Cavalier boots that you'd wear, the old leather boots, you know, that the swash and buckle, and the leather turns over at the top. And for a split second, these boots were in front of me on the floor in this cupboard. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, cut to, had a nice bath, all the rest of it, got into bed, had the little lamp on, just, you know, doing a bit of meditation, getting into that kind of sleep state. And I look across the room and there's a bloody man standing across the far side of the room who looked like your typical cavalier. And he had black, curly hair, and he had the smock jacket on from the ancient times, and he was leaning on the wall literally like this and looking at me, and he had no boots on. And I said, piss off, because I'm like that. If you interrupt my field, I don't care if you're demon, alien, ET, angel, you know, if it depends what I'm doing, I'm going to tell you off. Yeah, it was funny. You just reminded me.
So
of
have
that
you had
too.
this deal? Have you had this ability to see between the veil since you was a child?
Oh yeah, my God, yeah. I was born awake. I call it born awake. Absolutely.
I've seen a lot of your thumbnails where you had all these different types of beings you interacted with throughout your lifetime. So that's pretty young for an awakening, and to have it your entire life is not common.
Yeah, well, this is my book, Angels, Demons, and Aliens, and I talk about my birth because I was born. The way I was born was even freaky and weird. So I put a lot of my stories here because I've met all three species, and I tell people all the time, people that say, oh, you know, angels, demons, and aliens, they're all the same thing. I'm like, mate, you've obviously never had an experience.
Exactly.
Or what you've seen is a mimic. you've seen a demon mimicking angel or whatever, or alien, you know, so they all mimic. But anyway, I forgot what I was talking about now. We should get to another question.
Have you obviously had a QHHC session?
No.
Dude, you know how epic it would be?
No.
Is if you have me do your session. Imagine the deep dive. If you see some of my sessions I put on YouTube, they're intense.
Right. Listen, you can't pitch me in the middle of a recording.
Do what?
You can't pitch me in the middle of a recording.
I just saw that. I'm like, dude, that would be amazing.
Oh, thank you. Let me just, there's so many, like someone said, Sarah Jane Harrison saying, wow, this is fascinating. Want to hear more. This person saying, thanks for the interview. It's like going from kindergarten to university level. Had seen Drago on with Miles. I think he must mean our friend Miles Johnston from Bases Project. But this opened up more. Darling, she says, awesome guest. A lot of information I knew nothing about. Wow. Jock Haggis Muncher. What a funny name. Jock Haggis Muncher. He says, this guy's amazing. He's telling truth bombs. Amber Dyer says, great conversation. Excited for part 2. This is part 2. Einzai Geisha says, oh my God, my brain is exploding. I did not know how all those lines of Rothschilds and Rockefellers are connected. Like, where did all these original 13 or so families come from? How come they remain to be connected to the spiritual side in this 3D? And then recall all the memories not all of us fully have. How do we get these memories back? Drago, I do you a session, love. And how come when we're born, we forget the previous lives and interdimensionals?
We forget because it's part of the death trap mechanics. If you knew that you were like an ancient ET contributor to the awakening of the cosmos, if you came in with that information, you would be made fun of. You would be attacked. You would not fulfill the agreements that the entrapment set up for you to do. Because if you came in with full tilt boogie memories, the moment we're children, we would have been attacking the bad guys. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how they control us.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
There was another part of the question. I forgot.
How come the Rothschilds and Rockefellers?
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually messed up during my last interview. My dyslexia. I will say words that are wrong. So I was talking about the Orsini bloodline. The paternal side of that is the Rothschilds. The maternal side is the Rockefeller. I said the word Rockefeller twice last interview. When I watched it, I'm like, I said Rockefellers twice. Yeah, so the original 13 bloodlines, you have to realize these are 13 bloodlines. They're not just the original descendants of the Anunnaki. These are 13 different tribes from other star systems. So like the tribe of Dan are the Pleiadian. Pleiadian, those are the Dans. So these are different contributing star races that co-contributed to our history, like in Egypt. You have the worship of Lyra everywhere. You have the cats, the Sphinx, you have Sekhmet, you have Bastet. These were Lyran goddesses. And they were there originally in Lyra. I know who the original Bastet is. She doesn't want me to tell people yet, but we confirmed this in her session. We confirmed it through remote viewing. And she's really famous. So it's pretty shocking.
Wow.
I know so much about so many famous speakers that's never been talked about publicly because I did hypnosis sessions on them behind the scenes. And we've never discussed it publicly because it was so controversial with who they are galactically that it sounds too good to be true, meaning that no one's going to believe it. And this is why I tell everybody, if you don't believe what I say with my testimony, that's fine. Learn how to remote view. Remote view my experiences. If I'm lying, make YouTube videos, call me out. I openly tell people to do that. Like, I haven't found any yet. I'm sure they exist, but like, I haven't found them. So just learn how to remote view. Stop trusting people.
Mm-hmm.
Find the information yourself. See it yourself.
Yeah, that is the key, definitely. Paulie K says, Drago is a wealth of knowledge. Great interview. Please do more. Ain Clazor says, awesome interview. Thank you, Dani, for using your platform for this important information. Thank you, Dani and Drago. That's from Cosmic Rue. Tactical Cat says, what an amazing episode. Thank you, Drago. Dani, have him on again. Loads of eye-opening info, corroboration of stuff I've heard elsewhere. Loved it. This is East Coast Hub. Super podcast with Drago. Lots of confirmation here in my own research on topics. Dani's correct to say we shouldn't lock down on listening to one voice. Everyone has a piece. If you don't align with it, and at the time you hear it, save it, put it on your shelf, and when it's time, it'll come back around. Drago did an excellent job showing the connections of these gods, the name relations, and the religions and systems they're attached to. Mind-blowing. Now you can't unsee it. This is Andrew Delago. Awesome, big fan of Drago. I had the privilege to shake his hand, down to earth and a real badass. Deb McWhirter says, what a great interview. Great follow on from the Bases conference last December. Stop watching a certain person because blah, blah, blah. Here we have Fabian Ferraria says, I love the information. It resonates completely with what I believe. Thank you for your interview. I could listen to you both for hours. I'm looking forward to the next meeting. Sending love from Brazil. Okay, here's a question. It's from Julia Amethyst. She says, this was amazing. I could listen for hours. La la la. She goes, I want to know, where do these Anunnaki Dracos elites go since Earth has been or is being liberated from the evil? Do they leave for good? How does that work? She goes, I'm also interested in hearing more about the truth about religion because I've come to realize that God in the Bible was the Anunnaki, a false god. Was Jesus something completely different or was he part of the illusion? There's kind of three parts here, Drago. Do you want to tackle a couple?
Let's tackle the first. Where are the Anunnaki? They're here on Earth. They're here as hybrids. They're here in their physical bodies underground. They're located in deep underground military bases. They were literally running Camp Hero in their physical Anunnaki bodies, part of Project Ibis, which I was part of. I came through Camp Hero through Project Phoenix 3, which was all time travel. I ended up being, they turned me into a gatekeeper. I was responsible for opening the gates and the portals to take people through these different systems. And another thing is I ran the armory there at Camp Hero, which is amazing. If you ever want to have a technology show or something like that, just the amount of technology that was in the armory is intense. So the Anunnaki have their own planet. It comes into rotation every 3,600 years, and they call that a star. Whenever it comes into view of Earth, it causes cataclysms around all these other planets. So we have natural cyclical change, and we have Anunnaki dynamics from their planet. So you have to understand, the original Anunnaki came from Lyra. Most of the beings in this system came from Lyra. When we had to flee Lyra to go to Sirius, to all these other outposts, the planets changed our physical bodies. And we had to modify ourselves through transhumanism, through all kinds of DNA cloning to modify our bodies to be on these planets. So one of their outposts is Sirius A and Sirius B. Another outpost they have is Pleiades. That's why the Sirius system in Pleiades is shown in all the cuneiform tablets. The seven sisters are depicted on all of the tablets. And the seven sisters is seven planets surrounded by, seven suns surrounded by, I think, 32 planets. So a lot of these other beings, we were all from Lyra. So it's interesting where we actually come from. And some of us are from other universes like the Draconians, but a lot of us, we originate from Lyra. So it's pretty interesting.
It's so interesting. And also for me, most of what you've shared there, like I've only learned by listening to other people or reading a book, so I don't know if it's true. You know, someone told me that Nibiru is actually the spaceship that Ea is living on with his princess sisters, Inanna and others. And, you know, I don't know if that's true. I just, you know, that Planet X is actually Nibiru and that's what the planet is called. And it comes around and it's not in this. It's so confusing. So I think, again, important to have our own experiences, not keep repeating into the field things we don't actually know. Like I heard the Anunnaki came from Sirius, but actually from a parallel existence or a parallel universe. You're saying they came from Lyra, the man, also known as the man system. Go ahead.
Understand that we are also in parallel timelines. That doesn't mean they originate from that timeline. So it gets complicated with time travel and other dimensions because we discovered before we had history that we can go to any timeline we want. And that was the purpose of what Camp Hero was. That was the purpose of Project Looking Glass. We got information from the Anunnaki and these other star systems that we can access any point of time, past, present, and future, and other timelines. And when we started doing it as amateurs, we started realizing that when we went back in time, there were other timelines. So a lot of the things they made changes with never actually took effect in this timeline. So they had to figure out the science of what alpha is. Alpha is this main timeline that we all coexist now that we can agree on. It's 2026, even though it's not. This is not even the correct year we're in. And that's how they control a lot of the, I think we talked about that in episode 1, about how Edgar Casey, he was basically just a remote viewer. Nostradamus was just a remote viewer. And they changed the calendar through the Gregorian calendar, and they removed a bunch of time. So that made a lot of the original predictions not come true when they were supposed to happen. So a lot of people making predictions about when UFOs will be disclosed, they say it's going to happen in this year. A lot of people's not realizing that it is a misaligned viewing, and what they're actually seeing is misappropriated time. So it might not happen when they predict because they're not adjusting for the loss or addition of an actual time that was modified. Does that make sense?
It does.
Because we went from 28-day months to 30 to 31-day months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that changes time.
It's so interesting as well because I'm putting a drop out tonight where I'm saying that, you know, as you've witnessed and as you've said on this channel, that at every single GISIC, my event, Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, there are always craft. Some of them are ET, extraterrestrial, a lot of them are military because half the stuff in the sky is military. That's fucking disclosure, dude. That's disclosure. And media suffocated it and certain speakers killed it. People didn't want it to be acknowledged, which is so sad and on them. And of course, I'll never speak at another event again. And it's just chronic. You know, it's already happening. It's already happened. People need to get a set of those binoculars, night vision goggles, get out in the garden like I do in your gravity seat, lay there, snuggle up and just watch. There were some things coming through that were quite scary. I think that was more of a red light where you could see like the demonic, like the 2D, the lower astral frequencies coming through because they're there all the time too. But people can have their own experiences now, you know, and you know, recognize that the whole story of the disclosure is controlled by the dinky donks at the top. You know, but it's neat down to people like us who have real physical experiences to keep putting the truth into the field and stop waiting for people. And I'm so glad, like you, I couldn't care less what someone's opinion of me is. I'm like, mate, sit down. I'm just going to carry on because it's our planet. It's ours. I think that we should share one more question. And this one is so sweet. This man calls himself Bobo Bear. Thank you, Dani, for another great video. I asked in prayer for knowledge and answers about the truth of who we are and our history. Your videos are a big part of those answers. If we could ask Drago, we know they have to tell us some truth in movies and in series in order to have our consent. What, in your opinion, The best representations of reality, past, present, future timelines on Earth and even off planet, sold to us as fantasy sci-fi. Hugs and lots of love from Italy, Roberto.
That's a rabbit hole. I would say that the entire Star Wars mythology is based on the German program knocked off and going into space, becoming the Empire. Altered Carbon is a perfect show about how cloning actually works and how they transfer your consciousness over time. The Man in the High Castle. That's a good series about an alternate timeline where the Nazis won and China came to the United States because that was the original plan. So they're showing the original mechanics of what was actually planned to happen. And there's a ton of disclosure in that movie with the German breakaway program. Star Trek. Star Trek is real disclosure. Some of the technologies they use is stagecraft in order to not have us discover the truth. But like, you know, people teleporting on a holodeck. I've not experienced that before. I've never seen that on a ship. We have portals. Yeah, we can portal from a ship to anywhere we want, but like actual standing on a holodeck and be demolecularized, I've never saw that. Really good disclosure movies.
Well, that's a great amount to be getting on with, that's for sure. And thank you for your confirmation, because obviously people don't know where to go, what to watch, what to think, you know, so it's good that you have experienced so much.
The Expanse. Watch The Expanse. That is real disclosure. That's showing how a lot of the ships really operate. Like a lot of our ships, if we're not running artificial gravity, our ship spins if we're not using fold mechanics, like Einstein-Rosen bridges, where we pull a destination to us. Pardon me. So like on ship, if I'm on my ship, if I want to go somewhere, we can travel if we want. It depends where we're going. We go into hyperspace. What hyperspace is you're entering a pocket dimension and you're entering the bloodstream of source. It's like a tree with lots of veins, and we call that the Laniakea system. It looks like an electrical system. And at the end of every endpoint, you see a sun. So this is why if we enter our sun, if we enter Sol, that's the name of our local sun, it's a portal system into Laniakea, the supercluster. So we can go through our sun and we can enter hyperspace to go to the central sun. We can enter hyperspace to go to another system. And it takes a while. It's more of a linear kind of deal. But we also have technology where we can bring the destination to us. It's like changing the frequency. Your ship will be floating in the sky. It's not going anywhere. You program a destination with your navigator, and the frequency changes, and you just appear there. You're basically taking paper and you're folding it and bringing it to you, just like Einstein, his analogy. You put a piece of, poke a hole in the paper and bring it to you. So there's different ways we can do that.
Brilliant. Thank you for that explanation. Well, we have come to the end of our time today. I'm sure people still have a ton of questions. I'm more than welcome to, again, after this broadcast in the comment section, ask a ton. I'm sure you'd like to come back at another point because you just have so much to share.
I would love to come back anytime. You let me know. A couple of follow-ups. The James Rink Conference. Coincidentally, the Freemasons were there doing ceremonies at the hotel. They had the Eastern Star there the exact same week. The entire week that conference was there, they were doing Freemason ceremonies while we were there. And we started remote viewing them, and we saw a lot of dark shit. So the fact that I was beat up during that time, it doesn't shock me, because you have to realize you're going to have good groups come to conferences, but you're going to have a lot of bad guys. You're going to have a lot of handlers. So what I like to do with every presentation I started it at Miles Johnson conference and the James Rink one. No one's doing this. I set up remote viewers around the world. The moment I start my presentation, we start remote viewing bad guys in the room. Numerous remote viewers around the world. We identify who everybody is before I start speaking. So we know who a lot of the bad people are. We just don't talk about it. And I outed one at the conference you were at.
I saw that.
That person was shocked. Yeah. And no one does this. I'm sick and tired of these fuckers messing with us. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to start remote viewing you guys when we start our conferences. We're going to locate your physical addresses. We're going to see what factions you're in. If you're 3-letter, 4-letter agency, now you're on our hit list. And when I say hit list, that means something quite literally. I'm not going to define what that means, but you're messing with people in the secret space program that run above the purview of Earth mechanics. So you guys need to be careful who you're messing with, because sure, you can take us out, but like, if we get together, you guys are toast.
So just on that, when at the conference at lovely Miles Johnston and his Bases Project conference, where you were on stage and Brad Olson and Beverly Rhodes and Andrea Fowlkes and Tina Bird and there were so many people, and you said very sternly, "We know who you are. There's somebody in this audience." And I'm like, oh shit. And I said, it's not me.
You made that comment. I'm like, Dani, I know we have unresolved. You know what my first thought was, Dani? I'm like, Dani, I know we have unresolved issues and we have not talked about it yet. But girl, I was not talking about you. And the fact
so
you said,
funny.
It's not me. I was wanting to say, Dani, girl, come on, man.
I know, it's funny. But, I'm so glad I went there as well for so many reasons, because I love Miles, but also and you and I got to talk, and I'd never met you in person. And it's so good going to the conferences and meeting people in physical person. But also, again, there's been so much blocking of all of us coming together, handlers, gatekeepers. It's so boring. And so, again, it's just like pushing through. And I went into that conference. I drove on my own hours and hours to get there. And I went by myself. Like I said, I knew I had a couple of friends, like Beverly was talking, Beverly Rhodes, but I went in and I was prepared. I was like, well, I don't know what kind of reception I'm going to get, because I've been platforming someone else, and there's not been good things happening around that person that I've unloaded now. But at the time, I'm like, oh gosh, and everybody was just absolutely perfectly lovely. Of course they were. So I'd say to anyone else too, if you've been involved in other areas and arenas, and you've been kind of self-righteous and arrogant and thinking that the person you're being told is real like I did, take responsibility, get off your high horse, be humble and apologize and move the fuck on, because it is time for everyone to stand together, right?
And I knew when the universe presented Dani Henderson in the same room I was in, not knowing you would be there, I'm like, this is the time we have to talk. Yeah. I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about what I would say to you, because I don't ever can what I'm going to say in advance. Like with interviews or just conversations, it all just freestyles. I'm like,
flowing.
This feels right. You acknowledged me. You looked me in the eyes. You smiled. And I didn't think it was like deceptive. I got energy was like, you're acknowledging me for the first time. And it's not like you're doing it to be a dick.
No,
you know what I'm
God,
saying?
no.
Like,
yeah,
oh shit, it's Drago. Let me smile at him and fucking.
No, I'm not that either. I'm a very courageous, strong, independent person. And again, like you, no airs and graces. I'm straight to it. I am who I am, and that's who you need to be. We've all got our own signature blueprint. And when we're in it and we're owning it, uncovered, everyone can feel who you truly are. And that's a fact. So brilliant. All right. Any final words to share with the audience? Let them know how they can come to you for sessions to discover if they themselves have been in any kind of program or have recovery to do.
Yeah, you could find me at fractaloflight.com. It's on the bottom of my screen right next to my name. That's my website. If you can't get into an in-person QHHT session with me, I also do 1 hour and 3 hour consults you can find on my website. If you just want to talk about what's going on, I can give you all kinds of awesome insights. Other than that, make sure to follow my new YouTube channel. I just launched it 3 months ago, and I just hit 1,000 subscribers 2 days ago. So that's not too bad from only 3 months.
That's amazing.
I was stoked. So follow it, Portal to Another Dimension. It has a lot of interviews I've done. It has the podcast me and Laura Eisenhower had. Amazing information. So please follow it. Check it out. Let me know if you like it.
Excellent. Drago Reid, fractaloflight.com. Perfect. Thank you, Drago. Appreciate your time, appreciate your talent, appreciate your knowledge. And to the beautiful audience, well, I had him back. You did ask me, and I did deliver, and he did deliver. So again, in a while down the road there, we're welcoming him to come back. If you do have specific questions for your own awakening, for your own disclosure needs, feel free to put them under the comment section here. And the next time we meet up again, we will definitely get to those. Sorry, I couldn't read every single comment. There's like 110 comments. There's no way we could get through every single one today, but I'm very grateful. And as always, I am Dani Henderson. This is Disclosure. The full awakening is happening. It is full steam ahead. Be honest, be true, be loving to you. And I will see you soon. Thanks, Drago.
Thank you, Dani.